Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Season 3 of the World with Nate podcast. I'm your host, Nate Allison. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Mattress by Appointment, Cedar Falls. It's this easy. Call or text Mattress by Appointment to set up your appointment. Find your perfect mattress. If you need it, financing can be available. Take that same bed home that same day. It's that easy, no tricks. Thank you, Katie, for supporting this local podcast. So this guest was referred to me by one of my good friends, Nick Cool. He had nothing but amazing things to say about him. And once I started to uncover what he's about, I freaking love it. I love what you're doing. Nick Wallace, co-founder and chief farmer of 99 counties. Welcome to the World with Nate podcast.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Hell yeah. So 99 counties. Will you elaborate a little bit about what your current mission with that is and then how you got into farming?
Absolutely. Farming started way back when I was a little kid. My dad was a farmer up until the mid-'80s. If you're old enough to remember that, there was an interest rate crisis in the mid-'80s where a farmer, my dad was taking out loans at 6%, which seems high now, but that was, a normal interest rate. And then within a few years, it was 22%.
Wow.
On lines of credit for farmers.
We think it's bad right now.
Yeah. So if you had money to draw interest, you were raking it in. If you were a business or a farmer trying to work with an operating loan of 22%,
impossible.
Good luck.
Yeah.
So he got out of farming, stayed in the seed business and stayed in kind of the industry, but I think half of Iowa farmers. That was when American Need Farmers with Willie Nelson and that whole thing came.
Yep.
That was that crisis.
Yeah.
So
a large proponent of farmers got out because
it gutted Iowa.
Yeah.
So that was the 80s. I was, 8, 9 years old when, my parents are like, hey, we've got, Dad's got to quit farming, lost the farm, got to move houses,
Is that pretty vivid for you?
I can remember the couch fabric in the basement when my mom was telling us this in tears.
Makes my skin crawl.
Yeah. Right. So when you're 9, you don't forget that stuff. My brother was in high school and, my sister was in
Grew up
school.
all your lives on the farm.
I grew up in Strawberry Point.
Oh, okay. I'm familiar.
Just on the edge of town, right by the ball field.
All right.
And Dad had 3 farms so easily accessible.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like a town kid, but I had
a farm kid.
I had like some of the farm life where I'd go out and we'd have dairy, milking calves, bottle calves, and I'd ride with them and do
Strawberry's
stuff.
no metropolitan either.
Strawberry Point's 1,500 people. It was like the best. It was like Norman Rockwell,
perfect place.
Just like idyllic. I'd ride my bike to the pool. I don't remember having anybody watching me.
No.
Like most of my life. It would be like the 6 o'clock whistle, you better get your ass home. And it was like, wow. And then after, race through dinner and back out to play wiffle ball, go to the pool or play ball. It was just it was amazing.
Yeah.
So
that small town community feel is what everybody dreams of, right?
It is. It's the magic.
Heck yeah. So you say your dad got out because of the crisis, but he stayed within selling seed.
He did. He worked, he had his own business selling cleaning seed. I remember going to Detroit to pick up a seed cleaner. And I mean, it was he was always an entrepreneur, still is. Okay. And he did his own seed business for a while. And then he joined another big international seed company and started the Midwest territory that they didn't have have a presence here. He built that up to be the largest section of their company in a matter of 7-8 years.
So entrepreneurial, you might have caught some of that from him, huh?
Yeah, yep,
that's awesome.
For sure. My voice is I'm fasting right now.
Oh,
so
nice.
My voice is
leaving
changing.
You. Hopefully it doesn't leave.
I'm
for
on
the
day
whole
3 of no eating. So
wow.
Yeah, man. So
how long is the fast?
I don't know. I might break it today. I didn't feel very good
3
last
days
night.
is quite a bit.
Yeah.
How do you feel with clarity? You
really
feel pretty
good.
clear?
Yeah.
That's what
during
I've heard.
the day.
Yeah.
And then when I, made dinner for my kids, I'm like, this is awful.
Yeah.
I made them really good, sous vide, chicken legs and roasted them. And
bad to make that while you're fasting.
And I'm like, what am I doing? So I think I was purging the toxins pretty hard last night.
Yeah.
So, and I have a sauna in my bathroom, so I was, I've been trying to sweat it out. But
the holistic approach.
I try to do a pretty intense fast once a year.
Okay.
And I just do it because I need to challenge myself.
Yeah, I love it.
Like mind over matter.
I love it.
I don't always win the mind over matters, but sometimes
it's good to lean into those.
I rock
things.
it. Sometimes.
Hell yeah.
I fucking get after it. And then I'm like, and then I fall off the wagon. It's dragging me for miles, and then I get back on it. So
that's an important piece. You can fall off the wagon. You just got to get back on, man.
You got to get back on, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
So right now I'm in a program. It's a religious theme program, Exodus 90. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it has 2 days of fasting built inside the week. And sometimes it gets tough, when you're smelling those awesome things that you're making for your kids and you're like, shit, I can't
But
eat
it's, fasting has got a long history.
Much. Yeah.
And what it does is, not that we have to talk about fasting. But,
didn't expect it to go here when we're talking about food.
Right? Because I'm like, my voice is just cracking the last 3 days. But it's your body healing. You don't your body doesn't have to use energy to digest food, which is a big portion of it because we're always kind of eating, right?
In today's culture,
yeah,
when it's so readily accessible.
Yeah, and sometimes it's good food and sometimes it's not.
Yes.
And sometimes it's alcohol and whatever.
Right.
But when you eliminate that, your body has all of its energy to put towards healing and
fixing
clearing
those bumps.
out the shit and
Absolutely.
Purging cells and creating new ones and so
things that you don't force upon yourself in everyday American life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So at the very beginning, what does your farming look like? Your dad started, got out, sold seed corn.
Yep.
You're back in now.
My journey is I grew up in Strawberry Point. I graduate from Starmont High School. I was really good at sports, small town. All I did was play sports. There wasn't phones and, I wasn't very good at video games and my parents didn't love us having them.
Yeah.
So I was really good at sports. So I went to University of Dubuque and I got to play baseball and basketball my freshman year.
Wow,
it was amazing.
Very cool.
Found out I was really short and couldn't rebound or play defense, but I could still shoot. But that you got to have more than one skill in college versus high school.
Hell yeah.
So I stuck with baseball, and then I moved out to Oregon. That's when my dad took that seed job for that bigger company and followed them out there. Didn't live with them, but they were based in Oregon and Corvallis, and I went to summer school, played some summer ball, and got a scholarship to play at a JUCO college out there, and played baseball for another year. And then that's when I was and I wasn't diagnosed yet, but tumors were starting, right? So I was developing tumors in my right arm, and I couldn't pitch anymore. I couldn't heal. So my sophomore year was my last year for baseball. I just couldn't hardly throw anymore. Moved back to Iowa, University of Iowa. That's when the fatigue set in and, symptoms. And so I went and got checked out.
You instantly knew something was wrong?
I was actually studying, believe it or not. I'd go to the library and I'd fall asleep every time I'd go to the library. And I'm like, what the hell?
Something's going on.
And then I had a huge lumper in my right arm. And so my mom's like, go get it checked out. So I went to student health and she looked at it 2 seconds. She's like, I'm going to send you up to the university and get looked. She knew it was Hodgkin's. So Hodgkin's lymphoma for males. I was 19, 20, yeah. Yep. So went up there and they're like, oh, we're going to do a biopsy. I'm like, all right, what the hell's a biopsy?
Just kind of absent of what was actually going on at that young of an age?
Just like you don't know what you're playing college sports 6 months prior.
Healthy as hell.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, like, man, my arm hurts. And then, you move schools and Iowa City was great, you know, and I'm partying, having fun. And I was playing hard and working hard too.
Yeah.
So I had a job, I was going to school, and I was playing. So, then they're like, oh, you have cancer. And then they're like, oh, we're going to need to see how deep, we need to do exploratory. We think it's in your organs too. So they opened me up, gut me like a fish, and then, oh, your spleen shot. They yank your spleen. I go to, and I'm in the hospital. There's a whole story of that. Like, they didn't get my epidural in. So I didn't have, after I had, gut me up.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of I had 10% of my pain meds the whole first night. I was like hallucinating. I mean, I thought I was going to die. And the night nurse, I don't know what she was doing. Like,
not paying attention.
I don't know.
To what you were doing.
They came in the morning. My blood pressure was like, I mean, all the doctors are like, holy, are you in pain? And I'm like,
yeah, can't even speak.
Can't even, yeah. And they're like, and they give you the IV button, and it's like, whew. Yeah, so we survived that. I mean, I've got 3 actually near-death experiences in my life. Another podcast.
Another episode for the near-death.
Yeah. So I do that.
As a young kid to overcome cancer, Do you think about that a lot now? You've put some years behind you.
I had a dream. So when you fast, you have very vivid dreams.
Okay.
I had a dream last night, pretty heavy, revolving around cancer and tests and weird. But I was more at peace than I had like previous cancer dreams.
Yeah.
But it doesn't come up much because it's been
Years now.
20, I'm 45. It's been 25 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had 6 months of chemotherapy, which was a whole, I mean, oh man, it's literally kills you.
Yeah.
They just hope that the tumors
You
die
can
before you
outlast
die.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. And it's almost barbaric. Like that's a whole nother podcast too.
The pain that you're going
chemotherapy is barbaric. I mean, now that I'm a little more older and
cognizant
enlightened,
of what's actually going on inside your body.
There's better therapies.
Yeah.
I do. But that's
As somebody who's overcome it, you're fully capable of having that space to speak on that.
Yeah, there's better therapies.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the world's becoming more enlightened to that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I finished college barely. I do have the diploma, Mom. I promise.
Barely.
She still's like, I don't know. Are you sure? I'm like,
Are you sure you got through?
I graduated, and I didn't want to go to the ceremony because I'm not going to sit there for 4 hours. I don't give a shit.
Waste of time.
She's like,
I just need the paper.
That's why she's like, wait a minute, did you graduate? I'm like, I graduated, and went and did corporate insurance brokering in Chicago for 3 years.
Oh wow!
Lived by Wrigley. It was amazing.
I've had a good experience as a young cat.
It was amazing, but in a city of 7 million at the time, 20 years ago, I never felt so alone in my life.
Which is wild to hear, right?
You're surrounded by all these people and noise and this, and I just was so lonely.
Yeah.
And because I hadn't found my person yet. I just, I had a couple guys that I lived with, and we partied all the,
Nothing deep.
But it was just, but it was, I loved it and hated it. Traffic, I'm chain smoking Camel Lights,
being
drinking
from small
coffee.
town Strawberry. That's a culture shock.
Oh
going
man,
to big
I
city
remember. I
Chicago.
thought that first time I moved out, I'm like, oh man, like this is it. This is so awesome.
Yeah.
And then the blooms off the rose. You're like, oh shit, like this is a grind. Like who wants to sit in traffic? And I just my tuning fork was off. Right.
Yeah.
So then I go from there to the mountains of Colorado, Keystone.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with the area. Yeah.
Lake Dillon.
Yeah.
I lived on Lake Dillon. I went to culinary school there, a European style apprenticeship.
Oh, wow.
So I cooked for work because you rotate through all the restaurants in the
area.
Vail Resorts,
Okay.
right, at Keystone. Yeah. So every 6 months you move to a new restaurant.
For experience?
Yeah. And then you go and get your skill sets checked off by your chef. And then you go to school on Mondays.
Now, these chefs are like world class.
Yeah, these are like, I mean, these guys are...
Gordon Ramsay type
Well,
people.
yeah. I mean, versions. Versions.
Better.
Maybe the JV, right? Okay. But they're still like...
Yeah.
They can knock out a pretty awesome meal.
Hell yeah.
Right? And they're like kind of dicks, and it's intense.
They want a certain quality out of the people they're putting through there.
Yeah, that's just a pressure cooker, Because you have to, because you got to spit out the ones that don't, that don't make it.
They can't make it.
So I get a 5 mountain free ski pass. So we're bombing runs at night at Keystone, maybe particularly indulging in adult things while we're doing this.
At
we're
your
all
age,
single,
I'm sure of it.
right?
Yeah.
And learning how to cook, and I did that for a year, and my tuning fork was off again because it was a 3-year program, but. There was no women up there. They were all lived in Denver. I didn't have any money. Yeah. I was gonna become a miserable, drug or alcoholic.
Yeah, that's how you felt when you were there. This ain't it.
It was beautiful, but it was also just it wasn't right. And so I kind of was like, and it wasn't like rock bottom, but I was just like, man, I don't know what to do. And so we had started Wallace Farms, believe it or not. My dad and my sister-in-law, we kind of started the family business while I was in Chicago the last year. And then when I moved out to Colorado, it kind of was picking up a little bit. Like my sister-in-law was trying to do deliveries in Chicago. My dad was trying to do stuff, sales, and he had a full-time job. So it was percolating. And we knew that grass-fed beef, like Wallace Farms started as grass-fed beef.
Okay. So just as a precursor, Wallace Farms was the precursor to 99 Counties.
Wallace Farms was the foundation for the business for the last 20 years.
Okay.
I built that thing when I came back from Colorado to Des Moines and then eventually back to the farm, and all of that was Wallace Farms for 20 years. I hand packed and delivered boxes to everybody in Iowa and Chicagoland for 20 years.
Grass-fed beef was
grass-fed and grass-finished beef. So no feedlots, no starch, no corn, no grains, right? Like they're natural diet. They're ruminant animals. They're designed.
Explain that. What's that
a ruminant animal is got 4 chambers, and those cows and sheep and little bit of goats and horses, those are ruminant animals. They're designed to eat forages and grasses, and they have a way to digest them and burn the energy and make meat and milk and fat
from eating that diet.
Yeah, bison. They're not designed to eat grains in a trough in a feedlot.
So why has the industry made that so readily available?
Money. So and
capital.
They're making widgets, so it's easy to do, easier.
Yeah.
Right. Like bring them
on
into
a bigger
spot.
scale.
Yeah, scale it up.
Yeah.
Corporations can have a consistent product at a consistent price, a consistent supply chain, and feed the masses.
Yeah.
And feedlots didn't really start till the 60s.
And you were doing something different from that. We
are doing the 180, where we're leaving the cow, the beef. A cow is just the mom, right? So the steers and heifers, the offspring of the cow, are grazing grass and forages. And when we do bring, like today, the grass isn't growing.
Right.
I put up hay in the summer. And different forages, and sometimes we wrap it and ferment it and do some creative stuff.
Oh, wow.
And we grow corn without the starch, right? Without the ear. Imagine an ear of corn. Or a stalk of corn without the ear. And
without the
ear of corn.
The husk.
In the middle top.
Sorry, I'm so ignorant on some of these terms.
It's fine.
I'm an Iowa guy, so
So imagine a field of corn without, running the combine through to take the corn out. You would just run the mower down or the chopper and put all of that in a bag and ferment it like sauerkraut. Cabbage becomes sauerkraut.
Yeah.
And forage sorghum or hay or clover becomes fermented silage or baleage. And
now
so in the winter, cattle are eating that, and they love it.
How does that benefit them? Instead of what we spoke about there.
Instead of the corn?
Silage.
So imagine, if I equate this to humans, imagine having a diet where you only eat bread or
white bread
and cookies and candies and
lots of carbs, lots of sugar.
All carbs.
Yeah.
If you ate all carbs,
probably feel pretty fat and pretty slow.
Look at where the country's at. The 3 white devils, right?
Yeah.
White flour, white sugar, white dairy.
Yeah.
And it's all just toxic.
And
there is good bread, sourdoughs, fermented, right?
Okay.
And dairy can come from like Hanson's. Hanson's Dairy.
Yep, around here.
Amazing family, doing it right? Their cattle still eat some grains, but I feed that to my kids.
Yeah.
It's small, it's local. It's not 6,000 cows.
Yeah.
It's like it's got a life of its own.
I love that.
And then there's some decent sugars, right? I mean, you can still live in this world. It's just that, look at us. I mean, go to the state fair.
When we're talking about heart attack, diabetes, cancers are the major killers in our country, but nothing's said about it, then I think there's a glaring problem staring right in our face, right?
60% and that's just adults, 60% of kids have autoimmune disease.
Right.
I mean...
And that's not touching obesity or ADD, ADHD in the country.
Yeah, I mean, I have this slide in my my presentation that I've done for people. It's of the University of Iowa Hospitals and Clinics Children's Hospital that we wave to on Saturdays.
Yeah.
I mean, bless that place for having nurses and doctors there that are caring for those kids.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, it's a beautiful thing, right?
Absolutely.
Saved that's
a lot of lives.
But why is it there? It's not like it's all broken arms and super.
Right. Accidents.
This is a building, a massive building for kids with cancer and genetic problems and autoimmune diseases. That's what that hospital's for.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the statistics of what goes through there, but I'm going to guess that there's a lot of kids up there that have been a victim of bad choices with food and a toxic environment.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's
just seed for thought. I'm not sure everybody would want to see that building and think of that. So I apologize if I just spoiled your Saturday first quarter wave. But at first I was like, oh, that's great. And I'm like, wow, look at that. Because I went through that.
Yeah.
Just across the street right there is the third floor? That's where I got all my cancer treatments.
Yeah.
Like, why are the hospitals are being overrun? Why? Not because of broken arms and car accidents. It's because we're sick, man. We're so sick. We're sick.
And how do we go about changing it?
Everyone, like, when you're sick, you got sick. Now the whole industry is built on what happens once you're sick. We're forgetting about the whole front end of the story.
Sick.
How do we get sick?
Yeah.
And it's genetic. It's just the way it is. It's a genetic. We can't control that.
Those answers
bullshit.
aren't good enough.
What do you mean? Like, anyway,
right.
So it's about soil, right? Like farming.
Okay.
Right? So I go back from culinary school. I get to start doing the Wallace Farms thing, and we didn't farm right away. It was a friend of mine in southern Minnesota that was raising grass-fed beef. Okay. And my dad's like, hey, he needs help marketing his beef. Let's start a company. It's called Wallace Farms. And I'm like, all right. I think I came up with let's call it Wallace Farms. Cool, let's do that. Started selling his beef. And then I had a neighbor. I'm like, hey, I'll start selling your pork. And then we had a Century family farm, not the one Dad farmed by Strawberry Point, but in my grandma's dad's side, right? Okay. So it's not the Wallace side, but the Neva side.
Okay.
This farm's been in our family since 1894.
That's awesome.
And it was like great, right? So Dad's like, hey, we got 160-acre farm. Like, we should just start raising our own grass-fed beef and our friends. Like, let's just start raising more food. And I moved back from Colorado. I'm in Des Moines. I'm trying to do farmers markets with Wallace Farms. And I was like, I'm so tired of the city. I'm like, I was going to go live in a yurt by myself on the farm.
I love it.
Like, I was literally just going to live. I would have lived in a tent.
Yeah.
I was just going. You
just wanted to be there.
I just was like ready to be a hippie or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, so I didn't quite go that far, but then we started this little business called Wallace Farms, and we blew it up to like over $1 million. And then along the way, I built a snack stick company called Nick Sticks.
So like a beef stick?
Yeah, so a healthy snack stick, like
so
a
like
healthy Slim Jim.
Good for you Slim Jim.
Like 10 years ago I started it when I was like, I think it was the first one with the no sugar snack stick. And now they're everywhere. I mean, that market, I hit it at the right time. Oh, yeah. And we sold that business, the majority of that 5 years ago. Okay. Like, you'll find them in natural grocers.
All right.
Hy-Vee.
And what are they called again?
Nick's Sticks.
So you created that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
My sister-in-law had 2 minutes of wine to drink one night and came up with the name.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very good. This is how stuff works. Isn't that wild?
Well, it's the Cerner experiment.
Yep.
That I was telling you about. So.
Yeah. When you're saying, the alternative that you want to see is grass-fed beef. Now, does that take more room than traditional?
Yeah, it takes longer. It takes more land. It takes all of the fun out of it if you're trying to be efficient and mass scale anything.
And be a quadrillionaire. Yeah.
Yeah. And the corporations are, I know a lot of guys who raise cows and calves, but they sell their calves, at 5 or, at wean weight, and then they go into the feedlot. And most times they don't see them after that. And there are some guys that finish cattle on grain, and they're doing it in a small scale. I would much rather buy and eat that. If I didn't have my own grass-fed beef, I'd rather, I bet a lot of people listening to this have a friend or a grandpa or somebody that raises like home style beef where they just have 5 or whatever and they finish them out and then they take them. That's way better. What I'm talking about is like mass scale, thousands a head coming through the grocery stores that are like that is all. None of that is small family. Nothing in Hy-Vee, Fairway, Trader Joe's, that none of that is small family farms.
It's all none of it from meat market.
It's just corporations that are moving beef around and moving, grains around, and they're doing everything as cheap as they can and consistent as they can to bring you a consistent product at the lowest price. Like, it's apples and oranges. What I'm trying to do, and
your mission.
We moved into 99 counties. So Wallace Farms for 20 years, we plateaued at like $1 million. Like I wanted to keep moving.
You say that like that's not insane, Nick. $1 million is insane to me.
I wasn't putting any money in my retirement.
Yeah.
Like I was grinding out because I was trying to farm and market and go to Chicago. I went to Chicago every other week for like 17 years.
Yeah, even if you just think about the gas it costs to do that, that's astronomical.
And now I got 3 kids. I'm dodging like, soccer's here then. Yeah. And then you get people in Chicago and they're like, hey, I want to order, but I can't meet you on a Saturday morning.
Right.
We do these drop-offs. And it was just like the writing was on the wall. When we sold snack sticks 5 years ago, I really wanted to put more fuel into Wallace Farms. And so I kind of did this food truck thing. I was trying to get creative, right? The entrepreneur was coming out.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, things have changed. Like, it's really hard to get people's attention. People are, busier, more Saturday stuff, school stuff.
Saturday and
budgets
Sunday
are tighter. Stuff. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Like, I can't afford food. And then it's like, I'm going to roll through Starbucks. And I'm going to, me and my son grabbed something at Starbucks. I grabbed like a latte thing, and he grabbed a chiller thing, and it was like $13. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I could have bought a pound of ground beef and a bottle of organic marinara and fed 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
So I went to Five Guys. It was $57.
I know that. Yeah, I don't even want to say that name on this podcast with how outrageous that bullshit is.
Any of it,
Yeah.
So
insert name here, expensive as hell for not quality.
People are like, I can't, Fairway's cheaper. Well, I don't know. Last time I looked, like Fairway bacon's got to be like $6-7. Ground beef, good ground beef. I'm not talking the big 10-pound tubes.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to tell you where that comes from.
Yeah.
They're cold cow dairy cows, like the ones that like barely get up, right? And you want to eat that?
You want to eat something that's on its way out of this world?
Yeah. It's just energy, right? Like what we're talking about is energy.
Oh, yeah.
You have money. Money in my pocket is not, it's just paper. Well, I have a couple silver coins here, but
I like that.
It's just energy, right? So I have accumulated that energy, and I'm going to give that energy to somebody else and in something in return that has energy in it.
Absolutely.
So when we're talking about food, did the sun, grow the plant in the healthy soil that the ruminant ate that turned it into meat and muscle and fat and energy? And are you going to put that in your body and your kid's body or your grandparents or whoever? And then the cycle returns, and then you take that energy and you feel good, and then you give money back to 99 counties, and 99 counties gives a lot of that money to the farmer because they need that money to that energy to continue what they're doing, and then we give it to the processors. And the last time you checked, these local lockers, right, are just going out of business like crazy. I mean,
we take ours to Dyersville.
Yeah,
that's a haul.
Yeah, and they're struggling because they're working a lot of hours, and it's a hard job, and there's not a lot of young people that are jumping into the industry.
No,
so where are we going to be in 20, 30 years?
Right.
With corporate, guess what? Big
they can corporate
facilities, and they're going to put a lot of immigrants and people that are
not paying fair wages anyway.
Have to take that type of job.
Right.
And nobody. It's not a fair game, right? Like, and I'm a free market entrepreneur. I don't know if I use the word capitalist because crony capitalism is what we have. That's where corporations and governments get together and get to write the rules and pick the winners and losers, right? So I believe in a free market system.
Yeah.
Like, let's just clear all the shit.
Votes.
You want to eat, Nate.
Yeah.
And I want to feed you, and I got food. Like, I don't see how there needs to be many layers between you and I.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah,
like, get out of my way.
Right.
Like, I want to provide a healthy, clean product for you, and if we need to bring some third-party certifier in to say, all right, your plant where you're doing this is clean and there's not mice running around, and I will accept that. Beyond that, it's nobody's business how you and I trade energy for energy, food for money.
I love that.
So we gotta cut off as many of those layers as possible.
Now, when we're talking, we're here in rural Iowa. That people would argue that the access to good, sustainable food is easier for places like that. What's your thoughts on that? We're in a city, Cedar Falls, Waterloo, where can people have access to this, and how do we make it available to everybody?
You're talking 99 counties type food?
Yeah, great, sustainable, homegrown, locally sourced meats and veggies and fruits.
I think I had this vision 3 years ago that I was really mad. And it kind of started, I was driving up to a conference, it's called Acres Conference, Acres USA, and it's a farming organic type conference. Okay. And I was driving up there into Minneapolis, and it was like early December. And I didn't see one farmer or one animal outside.
The whole trip.
The whole trip. I maybe saw a couple cows, maybe. And I'm like, man, this is, and all the small towns, right, just like boarded, just like no life.
Not much going on. Maybe a gas station. I've seen them. I've drove around.
Yeah. And you're just like, man, just bedroom communities, no life. And nobody's talking. Nobody's on their porch. Kids aren't out riding bikes. Now it's December, but same thing in the summer. Yeah. So I'm like, going up, I was just distraught. And then coming back after I saw Zach Bush, I went up there to meet him. Zach Bush is an amazing guy. He used to be a doctor who got out of that because he had revelation after revelation about what was going on. So I went up there and I came back and I'm like, man, we gotta get all these counties. Like there needs to be a farmer in every county. I think I saw a sign for a county. I was entering this county and I'm like, I grew up most of my life in Iowa and I didn't know how many counties there were.
So I didn't either. Not until I started following you.
I Googled it and I'm like, how many counties are in Iowa? And series like 99 counties. I'm like, holy shit. The market, I'm like, that's a fucking great name for a company. Like,
spoke to you.
Yeah, 99 counties. That's it. There it is. I saw it in print. It was there. And then I started. Goosebumps. Then I started doing the I'm driving and I'm writing down like, all right, what if I had one beef guy and one pork guy? Farmer.
You're saying farmers who you can source from.
If I could just go to a town hall and I could turn on one farmer in each county to do 50 beef, 100 hogs and 500 chickens, right? Which isn't a lot. Like I've done that. I've raised that.
But it has to be done. Now, when we're talking about organic and all of that.
And I don't care about organic. Okay. Chemical free. Like Gabe Brown said it best, so I want to give him credit.
And I'm not very familiar with this, so please elaborate.
So Gabe Brown's a guy, and I'm going to give him credit. He's a farmer in North Dakota who's been on some of these cool documentaries. He said, I woke up one day, and he was a chemical farmer, and he woke up, and he just was like grinding it out, and his tuning fork was off by being a chemical farmer. And he woke up and he said, I got tired of figuring out what I was going to kill that day with herbicide, pesticide, fungicide. And I just woke up and said, screw it. What can I help live today? What can I make better? How can I grow bugs and bees and butterflies, right? And so that's a very contrary stance to take in Iowa.
Absolutely.
Because you lay down the herbicides in the spring when you plant or pre-emerge, and then you have the insecticide now is in the seed, right? These triple stack GMOs.
Do not know.
GMO, genetically modified organisms. Okay. 3 or 4 companies control all the seeds that these farmers plant, and farmers friends of mine. Like, I'm not this is not
you versus them.
Me, yeah.
One team.
They would admit, they're like, well, I buy my seed from this company, and they have all these labs, and they've grown these like magical freaking seeds that are like get better and better and more yields. But they're all based on technology and splicing in like CRISPR stuff that's adding a genetic from a plant or an animal into the corn to make it stand up taller, to make it grow better, to make it be tolerant to weather. And so, farmers have lost. There used to be 100 seed companies in Iowa. My dad talks. There were seed companies like independents doing all sorts of cool stuff all the time. And it's like they're all gone.
Pushing the boundaries, working against each other.
Yeah, just,
swallowed.
They're just, they either got bought up or went out of business. Same with tractor manufacturers, all of it, right? So it's just, we just get consolidated back, and we're just getting pushed into a funnel. We have fewer and fewer choices. I don't even remember where I was going with that last part, but so
I was asking about the GMOs and how that how you guys can keep control of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So we farm organically. My farm's organic, but I don't certify my animals. I just want my animals to be antibiotic free, hormone free, raised not in confinement, and fed grains that are not treated with GMOs, pesticides, herbicides, insecticides. Like anything with a CID at the end,
not for you.
That's killing stuff. I don't want to. I want to go the other way. So I'm a biological farmer versus a chemical farmer.
Okay.
Right, and in Iowa, that's tough because
traditionally we're chemical.
It started in the '60s.
Okay.
Yep. And man, my grandpa, like that first day when he's like, this guy said, "Hey, you spray this, and it'll kill your morning glory."
Great.
So that when you go to try to get the weeds out with your mechanical, cultivation, he'd get wrapped up, and you just cuss and piss, and and so he's like, "Yeah, spray this, it kills it." And he's like, shit, like I'm a better farmer.
Yep.
I'm not sweating and swearing, and I make more money.
Yeah.
I mean,
makes it easier.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And then the 70s and a little bit more, and then a
little bit more.
Like they capital, I would do it too. Come up with something that's even better.
Yep.
And then the 80s came, and boy, the 80s, that was when it changed. It was Earl Butz was Reagan's guy, and I'm a Reagan. Reagan's inspiring, right? But Reagan's guy Earl Butz kind of said, "We're gonna beat the Russians. We're gonna fence row to fence row plant, and you got to get big or get out." I think he said that in a national address,
So talking to farmers.
Yeah, farmers.
It's time to turn it up. We need to create more.
Yep. And then the farm crisis hits in the 80s, and a bunch of farmers lose their life. Someone lost their life too, right? Took their life. Then the 90s hits, and that gets rid of the hog farmers because we had a virus problem and a collapse of the market for no reason.
Yeah.
Right? There's more.
It's all controlled.
More shit to talk about,
we know,
right?
Yeah.
And then it was over. And then glyphosate, Roundup, hits in 95, 96.
So all those things along the way are just chipping away at local small family farms, chipping away.
Yep. And then, you wake up today and it's like, where'd they all go? And, you go to Iowa State football game or Iowa, and it's like Corn Growers Association, Iowa's still a huge farming community. It is. Everything's farmed.
Right.
Corn and soybeans.
Everything here is farmed. Corn and soybeans.
I grow corn. I grow corn. I grow soybeans. I grow oats. I grow hybrid rye for seed and forage. I grow pasture. I grow hay. I grow cows. And before derecho, I grew laying hens for eggs and some hogs in a inside outside.
How many acres are we talking?
300 acres. Tiny.
It's tiny by
the
today's
guys plant
standards.
That in a day and a half.
I tell them, my grandma and grandpa,
not even part-time
300 acres, old school farmers.
That's all you needed. 40 acres and a mule, that was all you needed.
Epitome back in the day.
So, man, now it's 2,000 acres is, what you really need or more.
Right. And how's that sustainable?
In Benton County, we have 200 and some thousand acres, right? Most counties in Iowa are about the same size, a couple 100,000 acres.
Of total tillable land.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. There's 33 million acres in Iowa, I think, and 26 or 7 million are farmed.
Okay.
And I would say 25 million of that is corn and soybeans.
Yeah.
So my prediction is in 40 years, maybe my lifetime, maybe just after, in my county, Benton County, I would say there's only going to be about 20 farmers.
The whole county?
Probably. There's maybe 200 now. I don't know. But there'll probably only be 20.
Maybe
less.
How do you even go about addressing that?
Okay.
You're trying.
All right. So here's where we have to unpack 99 counties.
Yeah.
So I'm driving home and I'm doing the numbers.
Yeah.
51 farmer in each county.
I can do this.
How hard is that?
Yeah.
It's 99 farmers for each species, right?
For our whole state.
For the whole state. It's like 1% of the farm ground. 1% of the farm ground is 250,000 acres.
Yeah.
You know how much food I can raise on 250,000 acres with the coalition of farmers?
Doing it the way you...
So I did all the paperwork and all the numbers, and I was like, holy shit, that can't be right. And I got home and I did them again. And I did them I just kept doing the numbers.
Rechecking.
Like, how is this not possible? We just needed the story and the framework.
Somebody put it together.
Yeah. Because what it came out to be is if I could get 10% of Iowa in 99 counties and a movement, it was almost $2 billion. It's a $2 billion company.
Wow.
That would be an IPO.
Yeah.
That'd be like...
For farmers, small, local
that'd be
farmers.
Like everyone knows Airbnb, Uber, right?
Yep.
Like you have this idea. Uber and Airbnb, I'm going to tell you, is not more than 10 years old.
Yeah.
Right?
No. Yeah. It's in our lifetimes.
And they went from a concept to publicly traded.
Yep.
And now it's like how many billions of dollars
and
is
everybody
Airbnb?
knows about it.
Exactly. Right? So I'm thinking, well, Airbnb doesn't own houses.
Right. They're just the infrastructure.
They just connected two communities. You brought up communities when I came in the door. They connected a community of people that had places to stay. Yep. Cool or not, that was up to the people to decide.
Yep.
And then people who wanted to stay there.
Stay.
All they did was just create the app and the platform in the middle.
Yep.
Uber,
same.
It's just, like same thing.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, what if I could connect the farming community to the consumers? Yep. And I hate the word consumer, and I use it all the time. Consume. Really, that's all we are. We're just consuming shit. Right. We got enough shit. I'm tired of consuming shit.
Yep.
So
hell yeah.
Conscious eater. Whatever. I don't know. I don't have a better word. Customer. I guess. But so customers are a community, and farmers are a community, and processors in the middle are a community. And I'm just trying to have people
shake hands,
connect again, and be like, I want to know who my processor and my farmer are.
Hell yeah.
And I go shop at Hy-Vee. I don't shop at Fairway much anymore because, it's mostly like people go there to get meat and then other stuff. But and I shop at Natural Grocers and Trader Joe's. I don't grow rice or salt or olive oil.
There's still things you need.
But I'm not trying to do that. What I'm trying to say is, why are we getting meat, milk, and eggs? Starting with meat now. Why are we going out to California or anywhere to get that when Iowa has arguably the best soil in the world? I've been around the world here and there. I've been to Europe 3 times. My dad's been more places. We talk about Iowa has some of the best soil, 3 feet deep.
Yeah.
And we're not growing food, man. We're not growing food. Farmers don't, and again, I don't care. I'm ruffling feathers. Farmers don't grow food anymore. Yeah, some of the stuff goes into, grains that feed confinement livestock. If the grocery store closed, most of the farmers in Iowa would starve.
Which is a powerful statement. And I think that statement can be made to society as a whole. Grocery stores close. Nobody's eating.
House of cards.
Yeah.
Pandemic.
We saw
COVID.
It. We saw it. You couldn't get toilet paper.
You go to Costco, like 2 items. People are freaking. I did 3 times the sales.
During that time
Oh,
period?
my God.
I bet.
I don't know if I
You're
slept.
the hottest fucking Google search online, I bet.
Oh, I went to Chicago every weekend with a full truck. Sometimes I'd go on Friday, deliver all day to all these people. And I'm talking like $56,000 in 3 hours.
Wow. Yeah.
The line, because you had to pop people's trunk because everybody couldn't even hardly look at each other. They thought we were all going to die from zombie virus, right? And you pop the trunk, and some people are holding up their name in the window and with their it's like crazy. And so
what a time.
it was like car after car. It was just it was crazy. And then all of a sudden the Tysons and everybody
back out.
Caught up or whatever. I would love to see how all that moved or didn't move.
Actually happened.
And then it was just all gone.
And everybody forgot.
Back to normal.
Back to normal.
And I thought, man, those barges ever stop? Because here's another thing. Grass-fed beef, right? Almost all of it is imported from Australia or Uruguay.
And why is that? Cheaper?
Always about money. consistent. They do a better job of. They've been raising grass-fed beef forever, so it's a good product. I mean, it's healthy. It's good for you. And it's a little bit cheaper, right? It's really cheap for the marketers, the retailers.
Yeah, right. But what they're putting on the shelf is
so I don't even know.
Cheaper.
If you went and got grass-fed beef at, store, I would say 99 counties, if you were a member and bought
you get
bulk,
a discount.
I think you'd have cheaper ground beef from us.
And know exactly where it's coming from.
I am trying to not be a boutique company here. I do not want to be a boutique, ritzy, fancy meat company.
When we're saying that you don't want to offer it outrageously priced for this supposed premium. You want to bring it to everybody.
I do.
So everybody has great
the
food.
steaks we have are more money. But, if you're on a budget, then you're not eating steak.
Right.
Like we're talking ground beef, sausages, the common food that I feed my kids all the time, right? Like food that sustains you.
Yeah.
So.
And now how is it different? The nutrient content, is that different as well?
It is, yeah. So with that high carb diet, right?
Yeah.
So humans eating
sugar,
that,
the three white devils.
You just don't feel well. So imagine, it's kind of, I wouldn't equate humans to like, if someone ate you, right? But cattle, aren't designed to eat that. So their omega-6, that it's stored in the fat, right?
Okay. Toxins
are stored in the fat. So if they're in a stressful environment, if they have antibiotic and hormones, right? Like, although, they would say, oh, well, it doesn't have that.
No.
Well, you're still carrying that through the meat, right?
Right.
And then your fat ratio of omega-6 to 3, like that profile is omega-6 is way up, right? You need a balanced omega-6 to omega-3. And when you have an animal that's eating its natural diet, the conjugated linoleic acid is high. Like you can go to any, there's a lot of guys that are on podcasts talking about, healthy nutrition guys that are talking about the fat profiles.
Absolutely.
Right? And so you get a natural balance of protein and fat, and the fat has got all the nutrients in it. Don't drain the fat out of your ground beef. Leave it in there. And there's a
contrary to what was passed around. I mean, with the food pyramid and stuff when I was growing up.
God, that food
you
pyramid.
were supposed to not have real butter and not,
Right. So what was on the bottom of that food pyramid?
Yeah, all those devils.
Grain, right?
27 loaves of bread.
Yeah, you got to eat a bunch of grain.
12,
and it's like
12 pieces every day.
Oh, shit. That's killing us.
No, and now
and
look
who
where
made
we're
the
at.
most money with that pyramid, right?
You look who invested into the science behind that food pyramid.
Well, they ditched it, right?
Yep.
And they kind of apologized.
Yeah.
Oops, we kind of got it wrong. For like 4 decades.
Yeah.
And our kids in our school systems are still living off the pyramid. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. No.
But now there's this is where I'm really trying to find the right lab, because they're just starting to do it. They're finding phytonutrients. They're measuring phytonutrients, not just like omega-6 and 3s. I mean, we're talking like
finite.
Copper, molybdenum, like all those essential nutrients that you need.
Right.
That, you wouldn't think.
Are not in processed food.
It's not in processed, and it's not. You find it in the soil, right?
Yeah.
The soil comes through the plants into the animals' meat and milk, and
and it's still evident,
and it's there, and we're just starting to tapping into it. That's why I'm really optimistic about the future.
So when people see those results, and now they can physically say, "Look, we said all along it was better, but here's the data that says this stuff is better for you."
Yeah.
You're hoping that swings hearts and minds.
This will blow your mind too. So there's a company out on the East Coast, Dan Kittredge, I think is his name. And again, they're just starting. Well, they've been at it for a while, but they're not, it's like they're on 3.0 here.
Yeah.
They're trying to come up with a handheld device so you can go into the store and you can scan 3 different carrots, right? So you go to the store and you look at the carrots.
The actual carrot?
Yep.
Not the barcode.
No.
The actual frickin' carrot.
Because that carrot is putting off a frequency, right? So you're tapping into the essence of that carrot and that frequency. And so they've run a bazillion carrots through their database. So they know like all the different things so they can identify like here's the number 1 being the worst and 1,000 being the best carrot. So they've run that into the system and they have an algorithm, the tech world that I don't quite get, but there's smart people that love that stuff. Yep. And so the future will be probably through your phone. that you'll go up and you'll scan your food, and it will give you a reading and say, this is a super food carrot, or this carrot sucks.
Yeah.
And will you care if the super carrot is $3 and the shitty carrot's $1? Because you're like, well, why would I spend $1 on a shitty carrot when I can spend $3 on a carrot that does my body good? And I think this will even equate into like muscle testing. So that's a whole nother thing. But muscle testing is your body giving off a frequency so that you will know, like, does this carrot help my energy? Or does this carrot deplete my energy? It'd be like a donut, right?
Yeah.
Like a donut's going to deplete your energy.
Right.
But you still might want to eat the donut. So be it. But at least you know.
You know. You're in the know.
This would tell you, like, is this carrot does it make my body stronger? And you imagine if it was like a red saying no, or a green, like a color chart, or a 1 through 100. So you walk through the grocery store and you're like, yes, yes, no, no, no.
Make it a freaking
And your
app.
cart is just full of like vibrant foods.
Yeah.
And maybe we don't even have to have all the grocery stores involved. Like maybe we could just go out to the farm and
pick your own.
So I'm not saying we're going to get rid of grocery stores, but I'm saying we have to change the game.
Yeah.
And then what happens is the person who's raising that shitty carrot, well, then
Nobody
nobody
wants
buys
that
them.
shitty carrot.
So then what do they have to do?
Got to raise good carrots.
They got to go figure out how can I raise the super carrot?
Yeah.
And so then everybody's elevated, right?
Oh, yeah.
Then everybody can participate in that world.
Yeah. And have access to good
on
quality,
your phone.
Awesome
On
food.
your phone. So we're using 99 counties is kind of going back in time, right? My dad talks about the 50s and 60s. Keystone, Iowa is where he grew up. They had a movie theater. They had a bustling cafe. They had a bowling alley. They had like grocery store. I mean, it was like a
tiny community.
Tiny. And all of them had it, right?
Yep.
So I'm saying, let's go back to where there's a lot of people on the land. They don't have to have 2,000 acres. They're growing food. They're trading. Maybe maybe Susie makes the best sourdough bread ever.
Absolutely.
Right? And she wants to trade Joe, who's doing like kombucha or some crazy like maple syrup concoction or whatever. Right? Like, and we just start this like, build this community and fabric of people that are artists, and food's important, and
food's important,
and it brings people back together, and it's healthy, and it brings us energy, and
not just people, communities. We spoke a little bit before, but we're both from small town communities, and when the jobs leave, when the farming leaves, there's nothing to support those little communities anymore, and they're falling apart and dying.
Yeah, they just die on the vine.
And this helps.
This is a way to bring them back. It's going to take a long time, and it doesn't have to just be about, the farmers who would be in 99 counties that you would support. They need fencing supplies. They need tools. They need all those things.
Yeah.
And, I buy from Amazon, but it's like, look at all the Amazon distribution centers now. Are we just going to have one distribution center that supplies 100% of all the stuff we have?
And we've seen issues with that.
I mean, it goes like that kids movie Wally. I don't know if you ever saw
that.
Yep,
very familiar with that.
Big and Save and Big, or Big and Save, or Big and I don't even know what it's like. It was like that like I don't want that to come true.
No.
But
we're on the pathway.
I mean, Amazon, geez, how can they deliver a toothbrush in 2 days and not charge you shipping and make money? Like,
you got to ask those tough questions.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So we're just living in a strange time.
Yeah.
But I think we're
awakening.
I think so.
And
we don't need everybody. Like I mentioned, that 1%, right? Like 1% can be 2% because you inspire. 1%'s gonna, the first 1% are always the
hardest to
the
get.
oddball.
Yeah.
Like the whatever the chargers, the people that like to be like, hey man, I see this, and then the 1% always inspires the 2%, right? And then the 2% gets 4%, and then once you get to 10 or whatever the tipping point is. And then you become Airbnb and Uber, and then you change the world.
Yeah,
right?
Hell yeah, change the world.
Yep.
I love it. The only other real thing I got for you is current challenge is getting people inspired. We've been doing things a long time the same way. You show them through the product. You brought me a whole stack of awesome stuff that I am so excited to try. And the people who have tried, especially the beef, man,
I would say
ground beef.
Yeah, the retention on the retention on our customers is through the roof.
Yeah,
and, yeah. I mean, there's no reason not to. I mean, I would never sell something that I wouldn't
feed your own family
myself. Yeah, okay, we get a seal break or we get a whatever, like a one-off. But guess what? I just like comp you, we have actually people that respond to emails and
real
human customer service team. My sister does a lot of the customer service, and we have there's 12 of us now, so we're employing people, and then the processing that we're paying for is opening and hiring more people.
Absolutely.
So we're using for our chicken and turkeys, we use a place in Stacyville, which is north of here, maybe an hour or a little bit west. Small town, but they revitalized this poultry plant, that small one, that opened, and they've got, they got like 15 people in there. I was up there, and we did like almost half of their business or something because we did 20,000 birds through there this year.
And now
we got a mountain of chicken that we need we need customers that want to try it.
Yeah.
And it's not the chicken that you would find that's
pumped full of water,
cheap in the store. Like, okay, our chicken breast, if you're a member and buy in bulk, is like $8-9 or something. But just try it compared to the $6 chicken breast. Yeah. And okay, is that $3? You want to spend it at Starbucks, or you want to spend it,
quality
feeding
food,
you and your family and your kids. The flavor's better. It's apples and oranges. And same with the ground beef and all the all the products, and find the ones that fit for you. I mean, if I could just get if you run the math on, say, 10,000 people spending $100 to $150 on a bag of meat, right? And that's not all your calories. Like if you want a 2-inch frickin' prime steak from Fairway, like do it. But there's $100 of meat that I guarantee you eat more than $100 of meat. On a given month. Yeah. So why not just start with a core of meat from farmers that and then if you need to buy specialty stuff that we can't provide, or if it doesn't fit your thing, then go do that somewhere else.
Absolutely.
But we home deliver for free if you spend $75. So that's where I'm like, all right, I'll play Amazon's game. Like, I want to get it to your home.
Yeah.
We're 100 mile within Keystone.
Because convenience, that's now really important.
We have to be.
Yeah.
My friend Kate says consciously convenient. Like, I got 3 kids. I want things convenient. I'm tired. I run out of time. And so, so we deliver to homes. You can order when you want. You can be a member. You save like 20% off everything all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, we're trying to meet people where they want to be.
Hell yeah.
But we're also trying to do things that are fair, and so we can, we make some money in the middle doing the hard things, like working with the farmers and buying their animals and paying the processor and holding all the product at
getting
my farm.
people to know about this.
Oh, marketing.
Oh,
you know how sales and marketing is. I mean, getting people's attention online. I mean, there's so many things to scroll through. It's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Reels now. I mean, it's like it's so noisy. It's a noisy world.
Noisy.
So, I don't know when this will air, but we're going to try to do a Cedar Falls, Waterloo event somewhere, and I don't, maybe you can give me
March will be when this airs, the beginning of March.
Okay. So it won't be before that. Like we'll probably be into March,
and
April.
I'll share it,
and we're gonna try to invite 300-400 people, and maybe we get 200 to show up, 150, 200. I'll feed you. I'm gonna inspire you. I'm gonna tell you the story. I'm gonna give you an experience, and then I'm gonna my only ask is buy $100 of meat a month, and it's gonna deliver to your house for free,
right to your door,
and it'll be like 10 to 12 pounds of awesome meat, and then if you really like it, then you can spend $150, or you can tell your mom about it, or tell your brother, or tell
word
your
of mouth
neighbor.
Is gonna that.
Yeah, because this only is. I mean, I'm putting out as much energy as I can into the universe to make this happen, and then that's all I can do.
Hell yeah.
I can just wake up every day and try to spread that
and have that passion. You're not in it to be a billionaire.
I'm not short on passion.
To
yeah, no, I'm yeah. As long as I can pay my bills and take go see a couple cool things around the country or the world at some point, or take a little downtime. Like I don't, that's all. Man. I don't. I've when you almost die 3 times, you just change your
a better appreciation.
Yeah. And it's everyone needs their aha moment.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people have multiples, but usually it's a health scare. So when I was 20, I had the health scare. When I was 5, I had a bicycle accident, and actually I had the surgery. Dang. I had to repair a blown out stomach that my handlebar hit. Right, so that was my first near death. Yeah. When I was 5, and then when I was 20, I had cancer, and then when I was 35, I had a snowmobile accident. I broke my neck, so I had to get airlifted and almost. Yeah.
So why you're doing what you're doing. Yeah. Absolutely.
all right, I'm 45, and 20 more years of people maybe listening, and then you get to be old and nobody gives a shit. So I got 20 years. Like, what am I doing?
20 good years. Hell yeah. What am I doing?
And if I don't see progress in farming, because the last 20, that's what I've spent my professional career the last 20 years building this. Yeah. And we're still farming 26 million acres with corn and soybeans. Yep. I haven't made any progress. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. Like, I don't want to see that. Yeah. Most people reading, they know, like, small town Iowa, right? Like, but what is it going to become? Yeah. Where are we at?
Where is it going?
And it's like, oh, well, you can't change farming's not going to bring those small towns back. I think food will bring those small towns back. Hell yeah. Right? The artisan baker and the... Absolutely. And people who care. And people in Chicago, they're just dying to get out of the city. Yeah. I don't know. I think cities are... Like, look at the cities around. Like, people are leaving cities, right? Yeah. Like, who wants to live in Seattle and Portland and New York? Like, you got to get a taste of the land. Like, we're not probably meant to be living in cities like we are. That's... It's not. I like the city. You can go in there and fine dining, and there's cultural and stuff. But people are always like being drawn out to the soil and to nature, and you got to use that to fill up your cup. Hell yeah, and get quiet and
absolutely. Yeah, get back to the land.
So that's
before you're out of here though. Yeah. I've got this or that question, so I'll read them off to you, and you have to pick. Oh, God. Some of them might be tough, though.
All right. One-word answer here? Or
yep,
what?
Just one word. Okay. You choose whichever speaks to you. Right. There's no rhyme or reason. All right. All right, Nick. Special thanks to Nick Cool. If you haven't taken the time yet, you can get back in Season 1 and Season 2. I've got Nick on a couple, as well as 50 other amazing guests. So, Nick, thanks for the recommendation, and Nick, and having us sit down today.
Nick Cool is a beautiful human
being.
Hell
yeah. Nothing but amazing things to say.
You really need to seek out his services.
He's really good. There's actually huge news to come. Nick and I are partnering together, so I'll announce that at a later time. But be prepared for us working together, and it'll be mutually beneficial, as well as anybody who takes this course.
Yeah, so. Nick made me answer some questions about myself that I hadn't really asked.
And the tough ones.
Yeah, and I think I'm a way better person and elevated because of it.
Hell yeah. Yeah. That's strong to hear. Another Nick Cool story.
Yep.
Hell yeah. Yep. So, without any further ado, you ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready, man.
So, are you taking beef or are you taking pork?
Beef.
You got to pick one. Early mornings or late nights?
Late nights.
Are you grilling the meat or are you smoking the meat?
Oh, Traeger, you can do both, right? Okay, I'm going to go smoke. I'm going to go smoke.
Hot dogs or hamburgers?
Man, because the Chicago dog is so good, but the smash, that's unfair. I'm gonna go hamburger.
I'm a hamburger guy too. Spring or summer?
Well, you couldn't have said fall.
Nope. No harvest time.
Spring.
Town or country?
Come on.
It's easy. Country. So you should be easy peasy. John Deere International Harvester. I don't really know.
As long as it starts. No. I have both. I'll go John Deere.
Hell yeah. Harvest or planting?
Harvest.
And crops, livestock? What would you prefer to work with?
Livestock.
And your last one for today, Nick.
No, I wouldn't want to, like, it's going to get muddy and, like, I'm like, why am I out here feeding these fucking cows?
That's how you think during
But
the
it's
day?
like, if you took them away, like, the light dims, you know?
I love that.
So we got to have livestock.
Hell yeah. I like that a lot. Legacy, your last one here today, before I let you get out of here. Legacy, impact, or outcome? What's the most important thing to Nick Wallace in his time here?
Oh, impact.
Hell yeah.
Fuck the legacy.
I love that.
I mean, somebody might see me in a history book in my family, like stumble on me, like, oh, who is this Nick Wallace guy, like 5 generations ago, and maybe there's a video, maybe not, but no, it's impact.
The potential
what was the third one?
impact or outcome. It's kind of the same,
Gotta, passion, impact. We gotta bring it back, man.
Bring it back.
Old school.
I love that. Hell yeah.
With the new school tech.
Right.
Like
Best of both worlds.
I mean, I don't want to go shit in an outhouse, right?
Me neither.
I wanna, let's all just have a nice, comfortable house that's warm and yet we're outside in nature when we want to be, and the best of both.
That's all the time we got for today, Nick.
All right,
I appreciate you sitting down and chatting with me.
Pleasure.
I love what you're bringing to the table.
And well, thanks for giving me the platform, because we got to start talking.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Start
Keep
talking.
Community.
Start spreading
it's
the
all
word.
about that. Yep.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Nick.
Cool, man.